So what would you say, I mean, in the first few years, you were 30-something, what was your biggest challenge?
Well, getting off the ground to start with, because the builder was a bit slow, or I'd done my homework wrongly, in getting the yard ready for sale, and I had to make the first payment. I hadn't sold a car. Anyway, through a connection, an accountancy connection, I finished up with a lease of a yard on the corner of 6th Avenue and Beaufort Street in Inglewood. I think it's still there. And together with one other person, a salesman, I went out there, bought the cars, reconditioned the cars, cleaned the cars, did all the paperwork, worked 16, 18 hours a day for a whole month, and sold 92 cars in the first. And that gave me the cash flow to get. I nearly went under before I'd even sold a car. Now, they say if you want pig iron, you turn the furnace down low. If you want stainless steel, you turn it up to red hot heat. Well, I've got to tell you, I had red hot heat. I've never ever forgotten that. Yeah.
So, and I guess, I mean, it's now 60 years in business, you've sold close to over 400,000 cars.
Probably more, yeah.
What was in the early days, what was your biggest point of difference?
I coined the phrase pre-owned cars. Everyone else called them used cars. Yeah. I called them pre-owned. In fact, I applied to Canberra to get it patented as a trademark.
Really?
Yeah, I did, but they said the words were too commonly in use, so I couldn't get it. But no, I used pre-owned, and I promoted myself. Yeah, and I put my head on the photo in the paper. I used to go live on radio with guys who, Gary Carville, John Fryer, going way back. I'm showing my age now, and I'd promote my cars. I started even then, even though it wasn't called John Hughes, it was called Paramotors. But I started to stamp my own personality on the business. Yeah.
And in the first 5 to 10 years, I mean, when you first did your first business plan, what was the vision for the business in the beginning for you?
I never had a business plan. I never had enough advice or enough counselling or any mentoring in order to do that. It was just see an opportunity and grab it. But I have to tell you that I overstepped the mark, and in 72, 73 I nearly went under. I tell you what I did wrong, and this is a good lesson for anyone watching and listening to this. The mistake I made was that I delegated too loosely and delegated too loosely and expanded too quickly. I took my eye off the ball. I'll never ever do that again. That's why I'm not up in Wangara or down in Rockingham, and that's why I keep everything very close to my chest. I probably don't delegate enough. I think I do, but maybe not quite enough, because I was scarred by that experience, and I'll never ever do that again. There's a law of diminishing returns. And anyone listening to this who's looking to expand, by all means look at it. Be very, very careful, because the further you are from your core place of business, the less return you get for time and effort. And I do a bit of mentoring, and I've had a couple of young guys come to me recently. One's got a very good business. He's looking to expand it. I said, look, you've only been doing it 11 months. He said, John, yeah, but I'm right on top of it, John, and I can see this other opportunity. I said, look, go home and have a cold shower. It's not what he wanted to hear, but
he was running on hot heat.
He was on red hot heat. He's still on pig iron temperature. He's not there yet. He hasn't gone through what I went through. No, in terms of expansion, hasten slowly. Right. Because the more you expand, the less efficient the business becomes. And you've got a business, you start another one up, and that's not going too well. So you leave this one, or you take time away from this one to go to that one. That one builds up a bit, and this one goes down. Yeah. It's a balance.
Yeah, sure. Okay. And I mean, you sort of touched on you didn't have a lot of support networks. I mean, so was it really, were you on your own the whole time? I mean,
totally.
So you didn't have anyone you could confide in?
Totally.
Right.
I don't know that I went out and sought it, probably because I didn't really know that I should have done. You know, I was fairly naive, unsophisticated business-wise. No, I didn't. No, it was all through the school of hard knocks.
And what would you say to someone that's just starting out, that's perhaps, what support networks would you recommend they have around?
Well, look, the first thing is, if you're starting out, first of all, if people who start out in business and don't succeed generally do so from one or a combination of factors. Number one, they don't know what they're doing. They get involved in a business in which they've had no expertise. That's dangerous. Do what I did, work for somebody for 5, 6, 7, 10 years or whatever, get to know the business, get the contacts, learn the trade, and then go out on your own. First thing. Second thing is they go in undercapitalised. Because I don't care how good the business is, how good your idea is, you're not going to make any money for 6 months and probably 12 months. Because you underestimate your rent, your staff overheads, and all the other costs, you know.
Sure.
And too many people going into business get confused between turnover and gross profit and net profit. They don't allow for tax and payroll tax. And the third thing is get proper accounting advice. Do a budget. Budget, and every month, budget actual variance, and then do it cumulatively year to date. I'm staggered at the number of people who come to me with various issues, and I say, what's your turnover? What's your gross profit? What's the cost for every one of your products? Do you get regular weekly, fortnightly, monthly figures?
Yeah.